The late tech genius, who was born on February 24, 1955, set the standard for the look and feel of personal computers. Jobs co-founded Apple in 1976, was forced out of the company in 1985, and returned to the company as CEO in 1996. He continued to be the face of the brand until his death from neuroendocrine cancer in 2011. Without Jobs, the ubiquitous technology of the modern world might look very different, and the man behind the machine was a fascinatingly complex figure. Here are some facts about Steve Jobs you might not have known. 1. Steve Jobs was adopted. Steve Jobs may have been a very public figure, but he was always careful to keep his private life hidden. Jobs was adopted, and his biological father, Abdulfattah Jandali, was a Syrian immigrant. He rebuffed Jandali's attempts to get in touch, and denied the paternity of his own daughter, Lisa, for many years. 2. Steve Jobs was a college dropout. Don't let anyone tell you a college degree is a prerequisite for professional success. Jobs came from a working-class background and dropped out of Reed College after just 6 months due to the financial strain it put on his family. Intriguingly, Jobs revealed decades later that a calligraphy class he took at Reed inspired the earliest typography used in Mac computers. 3. Steve Jobs started wearing his signature black turtleneck because his employees didn't want to wear a company uniform. The sleekness of Apple's product design translated to Jobs' well-known wardrobe. The majority of pictures of Jobs show him in a black turtleneck paired with jeans and sneakers. He didn't wear just any black turtleneck. The famous top was by the innovative Japanese designer Miyake. Jobs was originally inspired to start dressing in uniform when he visited the Tokyo headquarters of Sony in the 80s, and admired the minimalist Miyake-designed uniforms the employees wore. Jobs loved the uniforms so much, in fact, that he commissioned Miyake to design uniforms for Apple, but his employees hated the idea. Jobs compromised by adopting the signature Miyake turtleneck. He owned around 100 of them, and while the exact style he wore was discontinued after his death, Miyake later released a similar black turtleneck as an homage to the unlikely fashion influencer. 4. Steve Jobs didn't have some of the technological savvy you might expect. While he forever changed the world of technology, to his colleagues, Jobs was better known for his business savvy and creativity than his technical prowess. Steve Wozniak, who co-founded Apple with Jobs and stepped down in 1985, once said, he did not know technology. He'd never designed anything as a hardware engineer, and he didn't know software. He wanted to be important, and the important people are always the business people. So that's what he wanted to do. 5. Steve Jobs' earliest computer was recently auctioned for nearly $500,000. It's hard to believe a computer from 1976 would still work today, but Apple's first desktop model, the rare Apple I, originally sold for the devilish price of $666.66, recently made it to an auction at Christie's in working condition. The bulky, oh-so-70s piece of machinery was sold to an anonymous buyer for around $470,000. 6. Steve Jobs dated a 60s musical icon. A decade before he met his wife, Lauryn Powell, Jobs dated folk singer Joan Baez in 1982. Jobs described their connection as a serious relationship between two accidental friends who became lovers. Baez had famously dated Bob Dylan and performed with him in the 60s and 70s. It just so happened that Jobs was also a huge Dylan fan. He and Wozniak originally bonded over their fandom for the prolific artist and collected his bootleg recordings. Jobs finally met his musical hero in 2004, but their topics of conversation remain unknown. 7. Steve Jobs experimented with psychedelic drugs. Like many boomers, Jobs was something of a hippie in his younger years. He and his friend and future employee, Daniel Kotke, would frequently trip on LSD during college in the 70s. Kotke described himself and Jobs as monk wannabes. Jobs was very influenced by Be Here Now, a 1971 book on meditation by spiritual teacher Ram Dass, and practiced Zen Buddhism. The Buddhist principles of mindfulness even supposedly helped inspire Apple's simple yet effective product designs. 8. Steve Jobs wasn't so into the concept of the Genius Bar. Apple stores are known for their sparkling white aesthetic and Genius Bar for customer service. Not every element of the stores was specified to Jobs' liking, though. In 2000, Apple hired Ron Johnson to run their first retail stores. Johnson was responsible for coming up with the now signature Genius Bar, and recalled that when he told him about his idea, Jobs called it idiotic and said, "Ron, you might have the right idea, but here's the big gap. I've never met someone who knows technology who knows how to connect with people. They're all geeks. You can call it the Geek Bar." 9. Steve Jobs' final words were, "Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow." Jobs didn't meet his biological sister, Mona Simpson, until they were in their 20s. Simpson, a novelist, gave the eulogy at Jobs' funeral, describing their unique relationship and remembering his final days during his battle with cancer. At the end of the speech, Simpson revealed that her older brother died peacefully, with the simple yet poignant final words, "Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow." 10. Steve Jobs told his daughter she smelled like a toilet on his deathbed. Apple co-founder Steve Jobs told his daughter she smelled like a toilet when she visited him on his deathbed, she writes in a new memoir about their troubled relationship. Lisa Brennan Jobs visited her dad about every other month for the year before his death of complications from pancreatic cancer in 2011, she said in her memoir Small Fry in Vanity Fair's September issue. On one such visit, when her dad was so sick he could barely get out of bed, she sprayed herself with expensive rose facial mist she'd found in his bathroom before going to say goodbye. "When we hugged, I could feel his vertebrae, his ribs. He smelled musty, like medicine sweat," she wrote. Brennan Jobs, now 40, turned to leave, and that's when her dad called out, "Lise." "Yeah?" she asked. "You smell like a toilet," she recalls him saying. By that point, Brennan Jobs writes she'd already given up on the possibility of a grand reconciliation, the kind in the movies with her famous father, who died at 56.